a new design, a new chipset, new cameras and a USB-C port, the iPhone 15 Pro Max offers plenty of upgrades to its predecessor, but how much better is it? Let's take a look. So I was expecting it to feel slightly different in the hand, but there's actually quite a big difference and you feel it as soon as you pick the new iPhone up. It's 19 grams lighter and you really can feel the difference, and the more curved edges make the phone look the same as before, but it's actually a lot more comfortable to hold. Now I've got the blue titanium version here, and looking at the pictures in the adverts, I love the look of the brushed titanium finish, but to be honest, the brush marks are quite faint, and I can only see them if I look up close, and a lot of the time all I actually see is my fingerprints, but it's still a nice finish. The new action button is also great and I'm a big fan of it. We've got a new section in the settings for it, and it also comes with this fancy new animation when you're choosing what it does. We've got a nice range of choices by default to pick what this action button is going to do, and it also includes shortcuts, so this means that you can pretty much make the action button do anything. Now my only disappointment here is that it is a single-use button. If it's used for silent mode, then you hold it down to change the modes, and you can also single press it to tell you what mode you're in, but early rumors suggested we'd get single press and a double press for different apps or shortcuts, and I really hope this is something that Apple implement in the future. You do, however, get haptic feedback between silent and loud, and it is very distinguishable between the two, so you'll always know what mode you're going into. Now the presence of USB-C has been needed for a long time, and we finally got it with the iPhone 15. The iPhone 15 Pro Max has USB 3-speed USB-C, so this gives us better charging options, much faster data transfer, and we can now record ProRes video onto an external device, and this allows ProRes video for 4K at 60 frames a second. Also, a great way to make use of the USB-C in your new iPhone is with today's video sponsor, Anker. So first up, we've got the Anker Nano charger. It's a 30-watt fast charger, and it's able to charge your iPhone 15 to 50% in just 25 minutes. Its compact, foldable design makes it easy to carry around, and the Active 3 technology keeps your devices safe at all times when charging. To go with it, I've got Anker's 6-foot braided USB-C cable with 240 watts of max output. It's not only a sustainable product, but it's also very durable thanks to its braided design. Finally, for the times that you do run out of power on the go, we've got the 30-watt Anker Nano power bank. It's a 10,000 mAh power bank that not only has a USB-A port as well as a USB-C port, but we also get a built-in USB-C cable. The USB-C port and USB-C cable are capable of 30 watts of max output, and then the USB-A port is capable of 22.5 watts, and of course we've got all the relevant safeties in place to protect your devices, and with all three of these devices you'll never run out of power again. Now of course the links are down in the description below, so go ahead and check them out now. Now back to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and another handy feature of the USB Type-C is the ability to charge other devices using a USB-C cable. You can plug it in to your AirPods, your iPads, and even other iPhones, and I've also tried this with a couple of Android phones, and it's able to charge them as well. And when it comes to connecting two phones together, it seems that the lowest power device is going to be charged, so if my Android phone has less battery, then the iPhone would charge the Android phone, and if the iPhone had less battery, then the Android would charge the iPhone, of course provided your Android also supports reverse charging. The iPhone charges other devices at 4.5 watts, but unfortunately there's no wireless reverse charging on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now in terms of the display, it's actually a very similar display to last year, with the same size and resolution, along with the same peak brightness of 2000 nits. But to be fair, 2000 nits is incredibly bright, and it's still one of the best mobile displays available. Now of course, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, we get the new 3nm A17 Pro chipset, and this is both more powerful and more efficient than last year. For those of you that care about the synthetic benchmarks, I ran it through Geekbench 6, where we get a very impressive score of 2,948 for single core, and then 7,311 for the multi-core performance, and it also confirms the upgrade to 8GB of RAM, which wasn't mentioned in the keynote. For comparison, I ran the iPhone 14 Pro Max through Geekbench 6 again, and that scores 2,645 for single core and then 6,790 for multi-core, so that's a big improvement. Now with this level of performance, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is going to handle anything you throw at it without a problem at all. Now the GPU gets a metal score of 27,137, and compared to the iPhone 14 Pro Max's 22,572, it's another huge jump in performance and great for the gamers. We've also got support for ray tracing as well as metal effects to upscale content and get better graphics with less power use. Now I'm not much of a mobile gamer myself, but having a quick go on Call of Duty Mobile, Asphalt 9 and Genshin Impact, the experience has just been incredible, and it's probably the best mobile gaming experience you're gonna get from a smartphone. Now over to the cameras, we've actually got the same 48 megapixel primary camera as last year, but we do have some improvements in the software. With the upgraded photonic engine, we get better detail, better low light performance and more accurate skin tones, along with the default now being 24 megapixel photos instead of the previous 12 megapixels. Now the photos and videos look great from the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I've only had it a few days, so I haven't been able to go into too much detail yet, but I'll do a full comparison against the iPhone 14 Pro Max later on. So this is the video from the rear camera, 4K 60 frames a second. A lot of traffic, so it'll be interesting to see how that comes out in sound. But it looks very good in the viewfinder. I'm also walking forward, so we'll have to see what the stabilization is like. But I imagine it's going to be just the same as the 14 Pro Max. Just do a pan. Especially in the viewfinder, it looks like great quality video from the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And this is a selfie camera, 4K 60 frames a second. Again, I imagine it's going to look pretty much the same as the 14 Pro Max, but in the viewfinder it looks great. Now we of course get the new 5x periscope camera to deliver 5x optical zoom, and this is a nice improvement over the previous 3x zoom, and as you can see here, it does deliver some great quality images. Something else I really like is the implementation they've used for the in-between zooms, and we can now just tap the 1x and it's going to change between 24mm, 28mm and 35mm focal lengths, but unfortunately this is only for photos and it doesn't work for video. They've also introduced the ability to not have to take portrait shots, and you can just take normal photos and then the iPhone captures the depth information, and you can then add the background blur in later on, and it even works with cats and dogs. When doing some testing, it's not perfect, and there are some issues with the edges when changing focus objects, but it does work pretty well. If you want portrait shots though, I would still highly recommend you take it with the portrait mode and not the normal camera. Now battery life has also been great. While the battery is pretty much the same as last year's, thanks to the more efficient chipset, we should see some improvements in battery life. And mine has easily lasted me all day every day, but as I said, I've only had it for a few days, so I haven't been able to give it a full test just yet. Now of course, the more power hungry applications you use, the faster you're going to drain the battery, but even the iPhone 14 Pro Max had a great battery life, so you're not going to have any issues. Now when it comes to the unboxing, it's pretty much exactly the same as before. As disappointing as it is, I think we've come to accept that we're no longer getting chargers in the packaging. One thing I do like, however, is that with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, we get the new braided USB-C cable, and then of course we get the SIM removal tool unless you're in USA where it's eSIM only. We then get the documentation and the Apple sticker. For my first impressions on whether or not it's worth it, I think it is worth it and it has surprised me. If you've already got the iPhone 14 Pro Max, then I wouldn't suggest selling it to buy the iPhone 15 Pro Max, as the money you'll lose in doing so I wouldn't say is worth the upgrades you're going to get. But if you are on the fence about getting an iPhone 15 Pro Max or trying to get a good deal on the 14 Pro Max, I honestly think you'd be much happier with the 15 Pro Max. Although there are only minor improvements to things, it's just a well-rounded phone overall, and of course it's the most powerful phone that you can buy today. Now even just the slight change to the materials and the curved designs makes it much more comfortable to hold, and a device you're literally going to be using every single day, then I think it is worth it. It's great that the price has also remained the same, although the lowest variant you can buy is now the 256GB model. Then we've also got new features coming in the future like spatial video and the ability to shoot log footage. So bottom line is, I'm very impressed with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I feel the minor changes to the phone make a much bigger improvement than I expected. And of course, I'll be doing a more in-depth review in a few weeks when I've had a lot more time with the phone. So let me know in the comments if there's anything you want me to include in that video, or if there's anything I've missed in today's video that you want to know the answer to, just ask in the comments. But thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, smash a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down twice, and I'll see you guys in the next one.